Good morning and welcome to another session of Facebook Live Tuesday Tour. Today we're going to bring you some sculptures on campus. We've decided we wanted to highlight a couple of sculptures. One we started to talk about a couple weeks ago, got rained out though, but I still think there's a lot of good information, and so we'll talk about that. And then we're going to go to another, not talked about so much, sculpture on campus, and highlight that and the place that it's located. So in the interest of that, I can tell you from a logistics standpoint, this is actually a recorded session today. And so halfway through, we're going to have a little pause. We're going to travel about 10 minutes, but for you, it'll just be a blink of an eye. And so in the interest of truth in advertising here, we wanted you to know that in advance. But it's a beautiful day here on campus. We're on Harrison Street in front of Lynn Hall, which we talked about again a few weeks ago, home of the vet med school, and we really highlighted that. It was about this time, I think, when it started to rain during our presentation. But off to my left is the sculpture Continuum, which is definitely worth a visit when you're on campus, particularly in the evening hours. They light it with some nice purple lights and that sort of thing. The Continuum really addresses the relationship of human and animals over the years. In fact, it's referred to as human and animals relationship in art. It was commissioned in 1998. It actually arrived here September of 2000. The sculptor is Larry Anderson out of the state of Washington, and it was a competition to pick the one that was appropriate, and Larry Anderson won. And some great symbolism that we're going to kind of walk through today about that whole relationship. And it's a very positive, very interesting relationship with animals. One that, for the human side of things, has to do with survival and health over the many years, and the role really that vet medicine has played in that relationship and how we've really all benefited from it. And so it starts with this piece. This represents, it's about a 16 by 9 foot replica of a cave wall. Cave dwellers actually get right on the walls of the cave. Indications of animals and their relationship with animals, whether they were using them for food or they started using them for pets or whatever those relationships might be. This starts with the cave wall, and then we have other life-size figures, a variety of animals over the years, and these are life-size. So the first, the biggest, is the horse, and the detail is just excellent on this. So you can see the skeletal system on the horse if you really get up close to it, and you start getting the feel for vet med students and how they get into all the different systems relative to that. We can look under the horse and see behind the little kitty cat back here. If we go and look at the kitty cat on the far side, is the nervous system of the cat. We can go get a shot of that and give you a feel for the nervous system of the cat. Next is a hog. The pig here, actually, you see the circulatory system of the pig depicted on the side of it. Very, very interesting. Got your head on the horse there. So not only is it a full-size replica of the animals, but you really get a feel for what the students really get involved with this. As we move down the sculpture, we see a calf, and we have a female veterinarian professional with her stethoscope, listening to the calf. A good reminder that in the vet med school, the teaching laboratories here treat large and small, and these are representation of all the sizes of animals, that they do treat. Here's the male veterinary professional, and it's depicted. He has a clipboard and test tubes, and so this represents research being done on an ongoing basis. And obviously, a lot of research on animals has implications for humans, and so it's really a part of the whole vet med scene. A lot of good scientists have come out of the vet school, as a matter of fact, also. Here we have a dog and a young man frolicking together to show again the relationship between human and animals and how it has really kind of evolved over the years. Just a wonderful representation, a perfect location, and really highlights again our School of Vet Medicine and all the great things they do within the building. It was just a few weeks ago, I understand, that they had a hip replacement on a Bengal cat, which is kind of unheard of. But for the cat's sake, it was obviously wonderful, but for the students and getting involved with something like that, just a terrific experience, all made available through the School of Vet Med here. So another site we hope you're going to visit. We're going to now zip across campus. For you it's going to be an eye blink, but for us it'll be about a 10-minute trip, and we'll be talking to you shortly. See you soon. Okay, zip. Now we're in a different location on campus, highlighting another sculpture on campus. Logistically, give you our perspective here. We're looking, actually this would be 2nd Street, and we're looking towards campus. So we're looking east, and that's the math science building you see in the distance with the wind tunnel underneath. Many of you knew that in the cold winter months where you walk through. On either side is Honors College, and if you go a little bit further, we're actually in the Windsor Hall complex, actually in the Windsor Circle, because we want to talk about an interesting sculpture which isn't highlighted very much on a variety of discussions about the campus, and it would be the Tired Boy sculpture. This is a Tired Boy. The sculpture is Leonardo Barcopa, and the story is that in World War I, he happened to be in a position where he actually saw a boy and a woman, and the boy was putting all his trust into the woman during a bombing raid during World War I, 1914 to 1918, and he was so inspired by that he, years later, put together a sculpture, and it was titled Faith in a Woman. So it symbolizes faith. And so he did the sculpture, and eventually you can see Mrs. Charles W. Hickox, actually Barbara Chandler Hickox, actually purchased it, and she actually donated it to the university. And so the story begins with the university. She donated it to the university in the Michigan City area when the university was considering establishing a campus there. And she actually bought a huge house, which became kind of the center, the focal point of that area, as they considered starting a campus in that particular area. Eventually that didn't move out, and the campus up there, the Calumet campus and Purdue Northwest, actually ended up at different places. And so they demolished the house and eventually sold the property. But there's the statue, and the university wanted to hang on to the statue. In the meantime, the Windsor complex was being built, and they said what a great location right in the middle of the Windsor Circle to actually put the Tired Boys sculpture. So you see it, the flowers, they always keep it looking really, really nice. It's just a nice quiet place, you know, for this particular sculpture on campus. If you're looking for a peaceful spot sometime when you're out on this part of campus, maybe walking through the Windsor complex, which many of you may have, you'd be able to see this particular sculpture. We have a couple of camps going on here and some construction. And so we have a soccer camp going on. There's about 100 young ladies attending the soccer camp. And there's a law enforcement academy going on. About 2,000 folks from across the country are here, kind of explorer units who are young people interested in the law enforcement profession. And they're here on campus. Just a reminder of the busy conference season that kind of goes on here. We're in the Windsor complex, and so I just have to start moving a little bit and talking about the Windsor complex and when it arrived on campus and really the role it's played here on campus. The Windsor complex is comprised of 5 different units. Dumey Hall opened in 1934, known most notably for Amelia Earhart. Sheely 37, Wood 1939, and then Warren and Vaughter 1951. So over a period of 17 years, this complex was actually put together. Now 34 to 51, again, knowing your history a little bit, that's during the Depression. And so to have these quality of facilities built during the Depression is really quite the accomplishment. It was done thanks to R.B. Stewart and Walter Scholler, but mostly R.B. Stewart being able to get the finances for something like this. And he used the PWA, the Public Works Administration, in existence at the time, that was helping out educational institutions kind of get on their feet. So between that and the folks involved with this, so Dumey and Sheely and Wood and Warren and Vaughter were all people who actually donated either land or outright gifts to the university for them to use however they saw fit. And RB at the time, they were building these facilities, phased over 17 years, and this was the the mechanism for developing the financing for these beautiful structures. Still for women. I suspect many of you might have lived in some of these facilities. Women will come here, want to be in Windsor Halls, and never leave for the 4, 5, or 6 years it takes maybe to get through Purdue. Unique rooms, unique facilities. It is said that every room at some point during the day, during the year, actually gets sunshine in the room. I'm not exactly sure how that's possible, but they've always talked about how sunshine gets into each room as designed by Walter Schuller, the way he set the rooms up. Also, these facilities are extremely popular with our female students, and taking me back to my former life when I was on the staff, as we upgraded facilities. It was Windsor Hall's turn. We had just upgraded Cary Quadrangle, and there in Cary, we actually took 3 rooms and made 2. And so the men there got walk-in closets. They actually share bathrooms between 2 rooms, fully air-conditioned, of course, and just gorgeous rooms there. Well, we got to Windsor Halls and we surveyed the women, and what were they interested in? Well, you know, these rooms, most of them have like 12-foot ceilings. It's really a feeling of spaciousness that they have here. And they told us, no, we don't want to, you don't need to connect our rooms, give us air conditioning, you know, and keep us upgraded furniture-wise. But the restrooms that we all share on each floor, if you could upgrade those. And so we did. And so they're what we call health club quality restrooms, meaning they have upgraded showers and tubs, of course, on each of the floors, and the rooms are fully air conditioned. So for women wanting an English tutor feel, no finer place to live than here. Behind me is Wood Hall, and you see some of the intricate detail. Walter Schuller, I understand, had a lot of help with architects, you know, from England and the English Tudor construction people. And actually, it was 1969 when it was actually changed from the Women's Residence Hall, WRH, to Windsor. We now know it collectively as the Windsor Halls. So the WRH and the WRH club that was here was quite active in keeping the women united. In fact, in the circle that we just came from, they used to have the circle sing. Maybe some of you remember that. Each of the halls had names. The Doomy Darlings were one of the groups, and they would all have a singing competition. I actually got to judge the singing competition one night in the fall. It was a part of their orientation activity. Just a wonderful activity. Eventually they led to skits and doing all sorts of things. But unfortunately, like homecoming displays and other kinds of things, that kind of went by the wayside. But a great place to live on campus, still is. Has the statue, a very peaceful setting here. Once again, we hope this Facebook Live Tuesday tour has come to give you a glimpse of 2 sculptures, and maybe in this particular case brought back some memories of Windsor Hall. So on behalf of April and myself, we hope you'll come visit one of these days real soon, and hail Purdue.